Okay, so welcome to the tour. The guys that are doing the pollinator project couldn't be here today, so they gave me a few notes here to read off, just to give you a little bit of background on what's all going on. So Michael is the one that works as staff, and he's the one that's kind of coordinating a lot of this stuff. I think Jason's the head of the project, but Michael's the one I've been in contact with. So this is what he sent me. So, in many areas of the world, floral strips have proven effective in harboring beneficial insects that increase the ecosystem services to agriculture. These insects include bees that pollinate crops, parasitoid wasps that attack insect pest species, and beetles that eat weedy seed species and other insect pests. Although these strips have proven effective elsewhere, they have not been tested in Manitoba or surrounding areas. It is unclear which floral species will attract different insects and which insects will be attracted to the strips. The effective use of floral strips to benefit agriculture in Manitoba, we need to establish strips in many different locations and sample these insect communities within and near them. We also need to take crops yield measurements to determine the effects that the insect communities may have on the crop. The project has 12 floral strips planted across Manitoba. These sites are all located within a 2-hour drive of Winnipeg. We have also selected 10 control sites. These sites are managed by the same growers, but do not necessarily have the same crops on the strip fields. These sites will be used to compare insect movement from the edges of the field between the strips and control fields. We have also selected 11 semi-natural sites, and these areas do not show any management practice for the last 5 years or so. These will hopefully be used to compare floral strips to establish insect communities within the same area. We are using many different types of insect collection techniques to understand the influence of floral strips on many insect communities. We are using pitfall traps, Malaise traps, sweep netting, targeted pollinator netting, and pan trapping. The pitfall traps are plastic cups placed flush with the ground surface and are effective at collecting ground-dwelling insects like beetles and spiders. The Malaise traps are tent-like structures that are effective at capturing flying insects like parasitoid flies and bees. The sweep netting is effective in capturing pest insects that are relatively sedentary on the vegetation, like caterpillars, aphids, and is also effective in capturing insects that attack these pests, like the parasitoids. The targeted pollinator netting is effective in capturing reliable samples of the pollinator community in these sites. These sampling methods include measuring 50 meters transect inside the floral strip, field edges, and inside of the crops, and sampling of these transects for 10 minutes. When a pollinator is spotted, they are collected with a net. Lastly, pan traps are a passive pollinator sampling method. This includes placing different colored bowls on an elevated platform on a metal pole. Filling the bowls with water and then leaving them for a few hours, pollinators will fly into the bowl thinking it's a flower and drown in the water. We have placed pitfall traps and pan traps inside these floral strips and adjacent grassy margins at the strip field on the south end. There's another little tent at the far end over there is what he's talking about. In the grassy margins of control fields and along the edge of the semi-natural site. We have also placed Malaise traps on the edge of the field in front of the floral strip and adjacent to the grassy margin at the strip site. And the margin of the control site. Whenever we come out to sample insects, we sweep, net, and collect pollinators along with the transect in each of the locations with pitfall traps. All of this sampling results in a lot of insects. Last year we collected over 1,000 bees, 5,000 ground beetles, and 18,000 flying insects in the Malaise traps. However, there are many other insects that we collected that we have yet to identify. Last year we collected more bees and ground beetles at the sites with strips in comparison to sites without strips. I wouldn't quote me, but I believe the numbers were 3 times more bees, 5 times more beetles at the sites with strips. We are hoping that the increased numbers of beneficial insects, bees, beetles, and so far more beneficial insects will be analyzed to come. It is surprisingly a lot of work to process and identify thousands of these tiny little things. Will result in increased ecosystem. Oh, sorry about that. At the very least, we are hoping that these floral strips will provide a biodiversity refuge for insects, i.e. place where they can have a safe haven from tilling and pesticides and have a safe overwintering area. This year we are collecting similar manner to last year, but more samples of each field. We are hoping to collect more insects this year than in last. We have already started our sampling sites this year and roughly halfway done the first sampling round. We are currently sampling crops that are in bloom, mainly canola, and we will wrap up within the next week or two, and we will likely start the second round of sampling in early August. If anyone has any questions, feel free to email me, and hopefully this helps clear up the project a bit. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. So yeah, if you guys want to get a hold of him, I got his email address here or whatever. So that's a few words that he wrote. So yeah, I don't know if you guys are interested, you want to take a look at the traps or whatever. So each flag has a different kind of trap. These ones behind you, those are the ones that collect the bees. So they'll nest in there, and that's what they're using that for a trap. And then the Malaise was that tent one, and there should be some Pitfall Traps, and there'll be some in the fields there too. So if you guys want to take a quick look around and see what's all in there or whatever, go ahead. No, I'm using the ditch as a buffer strip. But we got permission to use this for the testing or whatever. Because we got the seed, this non-treated seed, non-GMO seed in there. So
their control things are there, right?
Well, no, we have another site set up at Dad's place where there is no strip, so it's still an organic production, but it's along the road. But that's what they're using as their control site. And so they have a tent here in my pasture, and they also have a tent at Dad's as a natural site to see what the counts are for that. So that's the two natural sites there. So each flag should have a trap on it, whether it be a pit trap or whatever style trap they are. So
they're reporting how many meters from this strip they are collecting.
I try and work it as best as I can with Dad to have at least same crop in the fields type of thing. But otherwise, that's the only limitations I got. And then I just tell them what I planted, dates planted, or whatever. This is oats in here. Yeah. So last year I had flax. So that part's been working out not too bad. But no, there's really no restrictions.
It runs all the way up to where that car is?
Actually, now over the hill a bit. So there's about 2 acres roughly that they use for a test site.
So it goes back that way?
Up to the fence line. There's a fence line. Just where that tree, if you can see that tree up at the edge of the buffer there, that's the end of the site there.
So all their plots everywhere are set up like this?
I don't know. I think they try to go as close as they could. Like you said, you had one at your place, but I'm not sure. But yeah.
Last June then?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it reseeded this spring at all?
Yeah, they went through it. I'm not sure what the second blend was that they put in here, but they were seeding it here just a few weeks ago. Yeah. So
Lots of hickory.
what's that?
Lots of hickory. That's what it is.
That's what it is? Okay, I'm not sure what that is. See, I'm not a plant guy, so I couldn't tell.
We don't have any of that at our site.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
So how did
That
they
came up from
decide?
the first year it established.
Okay.
I think it's the same mix. I think
It's just whatever it takes.
whatever it takes, moisture conditions, how you manage it, maybe a little bit.
Soil conditions. Well, like I was telling Karen, this was an alfalfa grass mix for the past 6 years. So we kind of ripped that up. So that's why the perennials were pretty good shape as far as that goes. So there's a bit of a nutrient profile in there too. So whether that made a difference or not, I'm not sure, but